Okay.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the ASET conference.
Okay. There's the Africa Society of Evangelical Theology Conference coming up March 4th and 5th. The overall theme is African contextual realities,
Right.
and there's a special emphasis on witchcraft accusations in the church and witchcraft. The Friday, the 4th, is all about that, and there's also a track on Saturday related to that.
Okay. Just narrowing down on the question of African realities, just some comments on some of the topics and how they relate to renewal movements on the continent.
Wow, there are so many topics. There's about 30 presentations scheduled for Saturday. Wow.
Yeah.
Let me focus on the Friday one and the focus on witchcraft and witch accusations.
Yes.
Again, with renewal movements, there is always a question of how do we work with, how does Christianity work with neo-traditional worldview? What's happening? What is happening with Nollywood? How does that fit with Christianity?
Yes.
Those kinds of things. And we have a great lineup of presenters,
yes,
especially referencing that.
Yeah.
So Samuel Kunyap has just said this topic we really need to cover. He is an African theologian, well respected, but also the head of a church of 6 million in Nigeria. Opoko Onina is head of the Church of Pentecost in Ghana, which I hear is the biggest Protestant church in Ghana, about 1 million. And all of these have places elsewhere in the world. So it's related to the question of reverse mission, going to other places as these churches are planting elsewhere. But also the question of contextualization. How do you make it truly Christian and truly African? And where are the things we can accept, where are the things we have to reject, where are the things we can modify? Traditional mission Christianity rejected everything in kind of an enlightenment way, that all that stuff is not true. Now, Christianity accepts much of it, the spirits, the whatever, but it still needs to be checked with Scripture. And witchcraft is one of the really tricky ones.
Yes.
Because it's not exactly spiritual warfare, it's more warfare with and it's about people, not just about spirits. So it's something that really hasn't been referenced. For myself, I've been 21 years in Africa, and I'm a 4th generation Pentecostal. So it matters to me what happens with African Pentecostalism. What got me interested was really when I did my own research in Tanzania and realized every time somebody gets sick or dies in northwestern Tanzania, people want to know who did it. And it's true, Christians or not. And then I heard Andrew Walls, back when I was doing that research, say, where is the book on that a pastor should reference when somebody comes in and says, I'm a witch, I killed people, or my child died and I know my grandmother did it. There isn't a book. Although churches are figuring it out on the ground. So since that, we've been trying to figure that out. And one of the issues related to it is the issue of witch accusations. So we can differ on whether witchcraft is real, whether witches cause harm or not, and discuss that. But when it comes to the ground, people are accused, and say in northwestern Tanzania, I was preaching, and a pastor's wife for 50 years got up and said, you know, that was great about witchcraft. I was just chased out of my village a couple months ago. She never went back. Later, her son, who was an assistant pastor, was chased out of his church as well. And people almost killed her. So 7,500, mostly older women, have been killed as suspected witches in Tanzania since 2000. So it's not some ancient thing. And things are also influencing others. So I think one time I did my research, my pastor and bishop said, oh, there's no such thing as children being witches. That's terrible that they do that in Congo. I went back later and he said, well, this kid over here is a witch. He confessed. And I think it's the influence of Nollywood that is changing how people deal with things. And so there's a number of seminars that are being taught in Tanzania related to this. People who are teaching that are also coming up for the conference. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm anxious to hear from these people. There's a blog on the Henry website that a number of these people have been doing. These local seminars in villages in Tanzania have been going on. Some of us have been doing some other writing. So it's an interesting topic. I was just talking to the guys in Tanzania in January, and they were talking about how it's become common practice for people not just to cast out demons, which is normal. In fact, the shirt I'm wearing was given to me by somebody who we were participating in casting out a demon. But now the thing is to say, who are you? How many of you are you? And who sent you? So that we know who the witch is, so we can deal with that too. So anyway, we need to figure it out. And I certainly don't have the answers. I realize it's a big question, and I'm really glad that all these African top leaders are coming to address that question and many others, African contextualities.
Yeah, I realize there'll be on the next day there'll be some topics to do with leadership, others with theology, and so on.
Yes,
just a final question. In your view, what excites you most about the outcome of this conference with respect to renewal movements on the continent?
Out of it is some serious thinking and conversation and further discussion.
Yeah.
We're meeting a few days to plan some other research and possibly another conference in Ghana. But really, I hope that people think seriously about African contextualities and make an impact in a really biblical way, and a way that transforms society and worldview, and doesn't just make African Christianity all African and no Christian, or all Christian and no African.
Yeah.
But we need to find out what is God saying to us here now, and what is biblical. And actually the people who are coming, I mentioned Sammy Kunyap and Apoko Nina, for example, are really great, humble pastors with real passion for their people. And so I'm personally looking forward to seeing them again. And the other conference presenters. I was chairman of ASET last year. David Garuya is the chairman this year. And ASET gives a great chance for people to present the things they've been researching, and an opportunity to get feedback, and every presentation has comments after it. Many of the presentations will be just 20 minutes with 7 minutes of response. So you'll get to ask the questions and say, well, what about this? What about that? And good interaction. Also, out of this will come at least one book. Our last one on Christianity and suffering. We're working on that book. That's Christianity and African Perspectives is the title of that one. So I'm also excited that hopefully other people will benefit. But I like being face to face, so it's fun to be there when it happens and not just read the book later.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming for the conference and learning as well. I'm very keen to hear what the different people are going to be saying on this topic and on some of the other topics.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and we're looking forward to the conference.